Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.
The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, has taken steps to avert the impending nationwide strike of the Nigeria Labour Congress built to commence tomorrow, Wednesday. The Labour Union had threatened to embark on a nationwide industrial action if the cash crunch, fuel scarcity and electricity tariff increase were not addressed. In response to the strike threat by the NLC, the minister invited the leadership of the NLC led by its president, Joe Ajaero, and the Central Bank of Nigeria management led by the governor, Godwin Emefiele, to a meeting in his office on Monday to resolve their differences. After the CBN governor explained the situation, the NLC president, Ajaero, urged the CBN to improve on their services, regretting the information gap created in the implementation of the Naira redesign. He said the National Executive Committee of the NLC will meet today to take a decision on the planned strike. The Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC, has announced that all outstanding governorship, national and state assembly supplementary elections will take place on Saturday, April 15, 2023. This was made known by the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Rotimi Oyekami, yesterday. In Kebbi and Adamawa states, the governorship elections were declared inconclusive by the INEC, and supplementary elections are now scheduled to hold in some polling units in both states. INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of its Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, had at the weekend assured protesting women at the Commission's headquarters in respect of the Adamawa election that a new date for the supplementary election that would be credible and transparent would be announced soon. Over 700 offenders have been arrested by men of the Nigeria Police Force for violation of electoral laws during the 2023 general elections. Inspector General of Police Usman Akali Baba disclosed this yesterday during a meeting with commissioners of police from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, as well as other senior officers. According to the IGP, the exact figure of those arrested currently stands at 781. IGP Baba said 185 cases of electoral infractions were recorded during the presidential election, with 203 arrests made. For the governorship and state assembly elections, the police chief stated that 304 electoral breaches were recorded and 578 offenders were arrested. A former aviation minister, Femi Fani-Kayode, has again tackled the British Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ben Llewellyn-Jones, after the envoy faulted him on some comments he made during the just concluded electioneering in Lagos State. Llewellyn-Jones, speaking on a current affairs program, also lamented that the ruling APC had yet to distance itself from the controversial comments made by Fani-Kayode, to which the former aviation minister, in a series of tweets, responded that he would not be intimidated by a British civil servant. In a fresh tweet yesterday morning, Fani-Kayode, who is also a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, further challenged the British envoy to do his worst, adding that he feared no one. A high court in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, has restrained embattled national chairman of the PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, from parading himself as national chairman of the party, pending the determination of the substantive suit, which has been adjourned to April 17, 2023 for hearing. A member of the PDP from Benue, Tahide Utan, who is the plaintiff before Justice W.I. Kwochi, had obtained the order. Addressing journalists in Makurdi after obtaining the court order, the plaintiff had noted that following the suspension by his Igorov Ward Exco on Sunday, it is wrong for Ayu to keep up with the office of national chairman and further disunite the party. Ayu was suspended late last week for anti-party activities in the wake of the party's loss in the presidential election. The National Population Commission, the NPC, has said it had put up measures to guard against all forms of malpractices ahead of the forthcoming population and housing census. The spokesperson for the commission, Isiaka Yahya, said in an interview that people would be counted at their places of residence and citizens living away from their states of origin do not need to travel home for the purpose of the exercise, as this totally negates the essence of the census. To check malpractices, the NPC spokesman added that practical questions about those who are living in the area will be asked, although the Commission had not finished the recruitment process for enumerators. The National Population Commission had revealed that a total of 885,000 people will be recruited for the 2023 Population and Housing Census, scheduled for 5 days in May, and the total amount needed to carry it out successfully is 869 billion naira. The Lagos State Ministry of Education has granted permission for students in terminal classes to access Chrisland High School, Okmebi in Ikeja, for physical learning ahead of their examinations due to begin soon. The Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, in a statement, said this as an update on the case of a deceased student of the school, Whitney Adeniro, who died during the school's inter-house sport, which took place at the Agege Stadium. According to the Commissioner, the school will remain closed until all necessary judicial processes superintended over by the State Ministry of Justice and other ongoing administrative inquests within the purview of the Office of Education Quality Assurance and other agencies are completed. The Commissioner added that the temporary permission to allow the terminal classes comprising JSS3 and SS3 students access to the school was granted to enable them to participate in their terminal examinations. The Advocacy for Women with Disabilities Initiative, AWDI, has called for more inclusion of women and girls with disabilities in all spheres of life. At the validation of baseline data survey on sexual and reproductive health rights of women and girls with disabilities held in Ikeja, the National Advocacy Coordinator for AWDI, Bilikisu Yakubu, said the baseline data being validated depicts the totality of all the inclusive policy demands as well as the way forward.
Women with disability also should be considered as women that have needs, especially when it comes to their sexual, reproductive, and health rights. Because most of the time, women with disability are not be seen as women at all. I had a lot of challenges growing up in a community where a man will come out and said, I want to get married to a woman. But because she's a woman with disability, she's been denied. And there's a lot of emotions that is being attached to it.
Also speaking, the General Manager at the Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs, LASODA, Dare Dairo, who represented the State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, at the validation of the data, urged women and girls with disabilities to be more proactive in their demands for government to expedite action on policy demands.
There is that effort to be inclusive because the themes agenda of the Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is particular about leaving no one behind.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, while in Ghana at the start of a 3-nation tour of Africa, has announced $100 million to support the fight against Islamist militants in West Africa. The coastal countries of Ghana, Benin, Ivory Coast and Togo are to benefit from the package. The region has been facing security threats from the ever-advancing jihadists operating in the Sahel. Vice President Harris acknowledged Ghana's leadership role on the continent and said that America was willing to invest more to promote economic growth. 6 people, 3 of them children, have been killed in a primary school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. The Covenant School in Nashville is a private Christian school for students aged 3 to 11, which came under attack by a shooter identified as 28-year-old Audrey Hill, who was killed by police. The shooter, according to police, was once a student at the school and was killed during gunfire with the police. While no motive has been identified for the shooter to have gone on the rampage, U.S. President Joe Biden has called on Congress to take action on gun violence. He also ordered U.S. flags to be flown at half-mast until the end of the month. The domestic stock market on Nigeria Exchange Limited continued on a negative note as the market capitalization on Monday dropped by 622 billion naira amid sustained profit-taking activities. Accordingly, investors lost 622 billion naira in value as market capitalization declined to 29.281 trillion naira from 29.903 trillion naira recorded at the previous session. The all-share index fell by 1,141.76 points, representing a decline of 2.08% to close at 53,750.77 points as against the 54,892.53 posted on Friday. The downturn was impacted by losses recorded in large and medium capitalized stocks, amongst which are Airtel Africa, Seplat Energy, MTN Nigeria Communications, Nigerian Breweries, and Lafarge Africa. The Super Eagles of Nigeria came back to revenge a home defeat to Guinea-Bissau, recording a 1-0 win against same opposition on Monday. The Jotters claimed a shock win last Friday when they recorded a 1-0 victory over the Super Eagles in Abuja. However, a first-half penalty from Moses Simon was enough for Jose Peseiro's men to win the reverse fixture. With the result, Nigeria returned back to the top of Group A with 9 points, with 2 more points than second-placed Guinea-Bissau. The slim victory also ended a 4-match losing streak for the Nigerians who have won the AFCON 3 times. The third place is occupied by Sierra Leone with 5 points, while Sao Tome and Principe sit at the bottom of the group with just 1 point. Antonio Conte has thanked Tottenham's fans for their support and appreciation, while also saying he welcomed those at the club who shared his passion for football. The 53-year-old Italian left by mutual consent on Sunday after 16 months in charge, his exit coming following a furious post-match interview on March 19. On Instagram, Conte said the fans had always given him vocal support, but the journey together has ended. Conte called the sports players selfish and was stinging in his criticism of the club's culture after his side squandered a 2-goal lead as they drew 3-3 at Southampton before the international break. His former assistant, Christian Stellini, will step up as head coach for the rest of the season, with former midfielder Ryan Mason his deputy. And that's it on the World News this morning.